Hey, what the hell's going on, you guys? It's Super Play Negative AE, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry. I left it on a cliffhanger, so I would want to come back to play it, and then I just got busy and able to do anything. But we're back. We're here recording, um, and I'm gonna see why Rika is staring at us. Probably because she knows who I am. Probably. And she's gonna be like, "You should have gone back to Tokyo," and she's gonna kill me or something. Oh no, because I'm what's his name? I'm Tomitaki, so she can't. It was a girl. It was Rika Furude. The girl stared down at me with a bored look in her eyes. I didn't have any justification for it, but I felt like I had been found by somebody I shouldn't be found by. Filled the silence, I raised my hand and mouthed a meek greeting. Of course, there was no way she heard my small voice in this clamor. But even then, she should have seen me wave my hand in greeting. In spite of that, she simply stared down at me with a cold look on her face. At that moment, the noise and heat spread throughout the car once again. Rishi had returned to the driver's seat. Taking a look, the group blocking the road had started to move aside while glaring our way. Rishi registered the figure of a girl behind me. One of the villagers came over and picked her up. The manner of, "It's dangerous, so get away." It was then that she whispered one or two words. However, I couldn't hear any of it. He's gonna gun it within the speed limit. Okay. As if to shake off the still audible angry voices, Oishi floored the gas. Along with the roar and the din of the shouting, the villagers and the girl quickly disappeared behind us. Oishi laughed mockingly again. I was more concerned with what the girl had said, however, I was vaguely bothered by it. What was she trying to say with that apathetic and candid expression? There was no longer a way to confirm what that girl had tried to tell me. It might have been that girl who warned me to go back to Tokyo again, or else. Was saying to me who is here now, ignoring that warning. I had a feeling she said something like that. I can't die though, I'm Tomitaki-san. So I'm safe. I know my character's safe no matter what. He could get into like a desperate situation, but he's not gonna die, because he doesn't die until the Otanagashi festival. And Takano's his wife, probably. If you were to call Hinamizawa a rather lonely village, then Takasudo was outright desolate. For an everyday city boy like me, I just couldn't understand why anybody would force themselves to live here. There were signs that people had, but they were all covered in dust or enveloped in ivy, indicating that it was all abandoned. Seemed Oishi also felt the same way. I'm a little confused why the villager would like turn something into the cops. I was kind of under the impression that everybody in Hinamizawa was kind of in on everything. But if they're delivering the stuff to me, or to the cops, I mean, against that theory. Unless it's a setup. Oh, it's a setup. Oh, it's a setup. They want us to come here. Why do they want us to come here? They trying to kill us?
できすぎってな、案外当たってるかもしれない。というと、実は四課のお友達からちょいと聞いたんですが、園崎お涼が大臣の孫の誘拐事件について言及したって話なんです。言及した？園崎お涼、大臣の孫ももう誘拐されてから何日にもな、そろそろ解放されるといいな。そう、お涼のばあさんが縁側でぼそりとつぶやいたってな話らしい。で、そのぼそりが園崎家の裏の裏のあちこちに伝えられてるようです。
Right, I had heard something earlier from Sato-san, the informant, that when Leader Oryu had a concern, somebody in the family would be considerate.
つまり、私はそう見て、この出来すぎの財布発見は孫を警察に引き渡すためのイベントじゃ。どうして人質の解放を？そりゃ人質を解放するなんて理由は一つしか。なんです？取引の成立ですよ。ひなみ沢ダム計画の中止を大臣が約束ってことです。
ダム計画なんて必ずなくなっちゃいますのです。
At that moment, those words that the girl had said resurfaced in the back of my mind. In the end, it was turning out exactly as she proclaimed. That young girl knew the circumstances. She knew everything about this kidnapping incident from beginning to the end.
赤坂?
The girl unexpectedly called my name.
東京へ帰れ。あなたはもう幾ばくもしないうちに、それがあまりにもみすぼらしくて、今のうちから。
どうして？
いちいちうるさ。あなたの親はあなたが赤信号の横断歩道の真ん中にいるとき、どうして危ないのかを全部説明し終えるの。引っ張るでしょ。まず歩道まで連れ戻してから、つまりはそういうこと。
The girl who knew everything from start to finish had warned me in the beginning, go back to Tokyo.
赤坂の怖がり。
孫は無事見つかるでしょうが、その後どう厄介になるかは一警察官の私には想像。フルで理科ご存知ですか？
What I had said was such a non sequitur that Oishi had sat in stunned silence for a while.
もちろん知ってますよ。御三家の一つ、フルで。どういう少女なんです？おやおや、これは意外な人物名に、公安ではフルデ家が臭いと睨んでおられるわけで、私にも情報を分けてくださいよ。あ、いや、そういう、ちょっとその、気になっ。まあいいや、同じ卓を囲んだ友人の質問なら答えないわけにはいきませんからね。
Wouldn't do to not answer a question from a friend that has...
友人と呼んでいただけて。で、あのお嬢ちゃんはね、村中の誰からも愛されてます。中でも年寄り連中には特に崇められてましてね。崇められる？よくは知らないんです。フルデ家に生まれた女の子ってのには、ひなみ沢の土着信仰ですがね、お社様の生まれ変わりだとかなんとか、そんな話があるらしい。お社様、そういえば同盟の登り旗の中に何ですか、お社様って。ああ、ひなみ沢の守り神様の名前です。村にあだなす者に罰を当てるって信じられてましてね。まあそんな便利な神様がいたら、ダムの連中はとっくに神罰にやられているんでしょうが、幸い今日までその罰ってやつは村にあだなす大臣の孫がお社様の怒りに触れ、そう、鬼隠し、大臣の孫を鬼隠しにしたと、そういう筋書きになるわけでしょうか。なるほど、そういうことになるんでしょう。お社様が下した神なら、犯人はお社様の生まれ変わりであるあの少女。
Even I didn't know exactly what I was saying, but the fact that Oishi laughed it off a bit was... Wait, laughed it off was a bit of a relief. Oishi's joyous laughter or something. So infectious I began to laugh like an idiot as well.
こりゃ珍しい。
We're laying into the horn several times, rolled down the window and leaned out, waved his arm in an exaggerated manner. It was a car headed the opposite way. Until now, we hadn't run into any other cars except our own. And of all places, it was at this desolate location. It seemed that Oishi knew the owner of that car. The other car also chirped its horn and came to a stop.
こんにちは。
The other car's window rolled down slowly, revealing a man in a white overcoat. He was about my age, or perhaps a bit older. But you really can't judge somebody by their appearance.
大石さんじゃありませんか。こんにちは。珍しいところでお会いしますね。
そりゃこっちのセリフですよ、先生。まさかこんなところで会うとはね。どうしたんです？
いえね、ちょっとした往診です。
ありゃ、そう。休館とかでしたか？
いえ、そんなに大したことでは良かったですよ。
お医者の世話にならずに済むなら、それに越したことはないです。
ではこれで。
He didn't say anything. He said, "Nufufufu."
急いで戻らないとスタッフに怒られますんで。
な診療所長さんも大変です。ではでは、お気をつけて。
A young doctor named Irie, after gesturing his farewell, drove forwards and soon disappeared around a corner. Uishi also drove forwards but came to a stop again. He pulled out a warm map book from the dash. His expression didn't have an ounce of irreverence. He was perfectly serious.
どうしたんです？
今日は診療所は往診のよっぽどの休館か特殊な事情のある患者ということになりますね。
Look around us, and we started to figure out where our current location was.
その休館が怪しいということですか？
言ったでしょう。高津戸地区にね、住んでる人なんてほとんどいないんですよ。
I mean, we already know it's the kid.
今私たち入江先生はこの
Having no sense of our surroundings, I couldn't digest anything about the place he was indicating on.
私たちは財布の取得場所をちなみに取得場所はでもね、高津戸地区にわずかにある民家に向かうにはそもそも
つまり入江医師は
山間の段々畑で農作業中に誰かが倒れたってのでない限りね、人が倒れて医者が呼ばれたら普通は連れ帰って詳しく調べるもんです。でもさっきリエ医師は車には他には誰も乗っていなかったようですし。
Man, Oishi's on top of that shit, huh? Oishi didn't say anything more than that. I also said nothing more. That doctor just now examined a patient close by. Only that. That noisy radio had suddenly gone quiet. The sky had suddenly turned an oppressive color. As Oishi mused that it might start to rain, a torrential downpour started, as though trying not to disappoint him. Eventually, Oishi stopped the car. And now I really want to see the anime, dude. Like, I feel like, you know what I haven't done yet is I haven't really watched the Steins Gate anime either. And I kind of want to do that as well. There's like a whole bunch of stuff that I have to see. Okay, the sounds when they break the silence of the and so chilled away.
ちょいと静かで行きましょうかね。
Let's do this a bit hush hush, shall we? She leaned over, indicating the other side of the thicket. He was pointing to a prefabricated shed and a car that was parked beside it. The car looked out, obviously well cared for. It wasn't a vehicle that had been left there for several years.
あの小屋は
営林署の夏場以外は利用されてない時。
あの車は営林署の職員の。
さあね、公用車には見えないですね。
Wichi was playing it cool, but my nervousness was gradually increasing.
一応は念のため。
Thought he was going to get an umbrella, but he grabbed up
もしもし、大石です。
onboard radio instead.
聞こえてる。こんにちは。こんにちは。
はい、沖宮 PS。 大石さん、感度良好で。
今高津戸地区の AD 山口に向かう方じゃないよ。南沢から高津戸に入る。
はい、確認しました。
小屋に不審者。これより職質します。5分で連絡なかったら駐在所に連絡と大至急よろしくお願いします。
了解しました。
じゃあ行ってみましょうかね。
As he was first confined here, he had heard the sound of a car multiple times. We just thought the far-off sound was more of the same. However, the reaction from his captors until now, something he hadn't seen before. They jumped, reacting as if shocked by a jolt of electricity, and pressed against the window, cautiously peering outside.
止まったな。
営林署の人間まずいぜ。
いや、警察やんな。
One of the captors lifted the boy by his collar and pressed a blade against his cheek.
お兄ちゃん、分かってると思うけど、大声出したりすると大変なことになるからね。
That's not what happened. Felt relief when he thought he was saved, but imagining that his captors would resort to violence if they were cornered, this anxiety remained unabated. Not seen that word before, but I think it's God. I know what it means because via context, like unresolved, I guess.
どうする？
時間稼いでる。小僧連れて、ほとぼり冷めたら打ち合う。
One of the perpetrators grabbed the boy by the collar and forced him to stand. Of course, Toshiki Inugai tried to resist by feigning that his illness had been aggravated by this rough treatment, but his captors paid no heed. The door was violently banged upon. The door was banged on again. Toshiki Inugai hesitated for a moment to respond to the voice by yelling. However, while he was being indecisive, his mouth was being covered, taking that option away from him. The leader of the captors waved at the other to go. The younger perpetrator nodded in response, and while keeping the boy's mouth covered, started heading towards the back door.
はいはい。何かご用かいね。
どうも警察ですがね。急な雨で困っちゃいましてね。
ええ、今開けます。
The moment the lock was undone, Oishi forced the door open. With a gleam of menace in his eyes, he pushed the man aside as he stepped into the room. Then, in the small empty room, he was able to quickly discern that the boy he was looking for was nowhere to be
あ
seen.
れ、私はここは営林署の機材何にもありませんね。
There was nothing inside the room that would indicate this was an equipment shed. There was only a mountain of blankets indicating that someone had been sleeping here alongside the empty food packets strewn about.
ああ。ここはずいぶん前から空っぽさね。機材がしまってあるところなんて。
でも営林署の建物でしょ。あんた営林署の人。
あんたこそ誰？警察？
Two of them glared at each other suspiciously. Both Oishi and the man steadfastly refused to reveal their identity before the other did. The man, judging from the sharp look in Oishi's eyes, realized it would be hard to talk his way out of this one. No matter what he said, the most time he could buy was probably a few dozen seconds. The sound of the rain filled this tense moment. Just then, they heard the sound of a struggle from far off. Oishi had a hunch. There was no doubt that Akaska, who was circling around back, had run into the perpetrators and were trying to slip away. As Oishi thought that, the man in front of him reacted a moment faster. The man swung with an attack that was more intended to obscure Oishi's vision rather than actually hit him in the face. Seizing his opportunity, the man aimed a kick at Oishi's groin without any hesitation, but he missed his mark and was unable to land that critical blow. The man, trying to pin Oishi, grabbed him by the base of his neck with both hands and forcefully tried to push him down. This music, though, is crazy. Freaking breakbeat. Alright, but as Oishi fell backwards as if kicking the man upward, he dug his foot into the man's midsection. That leg acting as a fulcrum, the man was flung by the falling Oishi as if by a circle throw. Two of them squared off in the pouring rain.
面白いじゃないの。俺とやろうってかね。
Oishi, as if trying to cheer himself on, grinned smugly. I feel like I'm reading like a manga or something, or like reading a book, and then like I'm gonna go watch like the show, and it's like just not gonna have any of this, or it's gonna be like really lame. Cause like I'm imagining like the sickest fight scene right now. He stood up while brushing the mud off himself, even though he countered the assault. Oishi was getting up rather awkwardly compared to the man he threw, who swiftly sprang up to his feet. Kasuga-kun rang out from the distance. Judging by his distress in his voice, he was already engaged in a fight and wanted Oishi to reconvene with him. But Oishi's hands were full as well. The man raised his fists into a stance that hinted at him being acquainted with karate or something, or some other form of martial art. Of course, Oishi, as an officer of law, was decently versed in judo. He also had the moxie to have been through his fair share of fights before. Because of that, he could tell that the man in front of him was quite better at fighting than he was. Ah, damn it. Thinking that this was going to be so easy just because the order came from the Sonosaki family to release the hostage had been a big mistake. Oishi played off the situation like it was no sweat. His opponent, seeing his attitude, took that to mean that Oishi wasn't going to go down easily. The man wildly charged forward, attempting to grab Oishi. The man had managed a successful clinch from his low stance. Oishi would be tackled to the ground and ended up being mounted. It was something you saw often when children fought, but it was a really bad position since you couldn't do much once you were in it. Oishi, responding to that move, also lowered his stance to collide with the man head-on. The moment they clashed, Oishi grabbed the man's lapel. He yanked the lapel upwards and smashed into the man's solar plexus with the elbow of the same arm. It was a move from Oishi's own personal brand of brawling judo. And then he then grabbed on with his free hand and attempted to throw his opponent with both hands. But the man lowered his center of gravity, swung his arms in a large arc, entwining them with Oishi's. Not only that, but he had forced both of Oishi's elbows to the outside, and Oishi was now in an awkward position. Was in danger of exposing. Oh my god, I hate that. With backhands clutching the man's chest. This guy practiced Aikido or grappling, didn't he? Oishi, cursing the fact that his fingers were twisted in the man's shirt and couldn't get away, released his grip. But he was still in an awkward position of being bent over. And on top of that, at zero range, the man was able to read Oishi's movements completely as he tried to squirm his way into a better position. And then he took the palms of his hands and swiftly clapped them over both of Oishi's ears. Clapping the ears in any other martial art except for self-defense was basically forbidden. Karate and judo didn't recognize it as a legal technique. It was that much of a simple and dangerous attack. Oishi raised both his hands as he tried to reflectively clutch at his own ears. But before that could happen, the man wrapped his arms around Oishi's neck. His thick biceps clenched firmly around the base of Oishi's neck like a vice. Oishi instinctively thought he was going to be killed. After all, it wasn't hard to believe a man like this, who was accustomed to fighting, could crush his opponent's neck from this position. But his opponent didn't do that. He had chosen to keep his hold and force Oishi to lose consciousness. That's why Oishi, at that moment, even though his face was twitching, was grinning widely. Even though his opponent had a chance to kill him, he didn't choose to. He was thinking, this guy has no intention of killing me. However, even though that might be the case, the man's hold on the neck was by no means gentle. But in no time at all, Oishi's consciousness began to fade. Having the experience of being taken down countless times in judo during his student days, Oishi was utterly resigned to the fact that it was over. Kasuga-kun shoots him. Kasuga was finally recovering from the intense pain of being kicked in a rather sensitive area. He'd bumped the into the captor carrying the boy at the back entrance. He had seen Toshiki, a new guy's picture, plenty of times, but he wasn't able to immediately ascertain if the boy in front of him was the real deal. With what his mouth. What? Excuse me? It's a captured boy. You think there's multiple captured boy situations? And even so, what the heck? What? Also, with his limited experience, it wasn't hard for him to panic over how to deal with the situation. Of course, the perpetrator didn't overlook this momentary lapse. His kick landed squarely in the critical spot, with Akaska not even having time to call for help. As the man flung the boy over his shoulder, he headed towards the front of the shed. Upon hearing Oishi's bellowing voice, he gave up on that direction. Then he dashed off towards the forest. As if the weight of the boy slung over his shoulder wasn't even there. Akaska was lost for a moment. Meeting up with Oishi, who was fighting the enemy, was by far the safer option. He couldn't just lose sight of the fleeing man. But he couldn't just lose sight of the fleeing man. Akaska stood up and chased after the captor's back. He ran through a short thicket, branches and fallen leaves crunching underfoot. The tips of branches raked and clawed at him, small scratches inscribing themselves on his body one after another. He kept on stomping into puddles in the mud, and his shoes were soon filled with murky water. For Akaska, traveling through this unexplored forest was, even though this was an emergency situation, extremely unpleasant. As he said that, he regretted it immediately, as it was just but a waste of breath. There wasn't a thief in the world that would politely stop when told to by the police. To a city boy like Akaska, running through this forest was an arduous task. However, it must have been no easy task for the man carrying the minister's grandson. He neither grinned or gained nor lost ground in his pursuit. Akaska, upon realizing that, gained a bit of composure, just keep on chasing him, running in the same conditions. In fact, the man running with the awkward stride was at far more of a disadvantage. They couldn't run forever. Eventually, he'd definitely trip and fall. As long as he was being hounded, he would definitely stumble, and soon his wish was fulfilled. The man who had stepped in something and lost his balance was no longer able to bear the weight of the boy, dropping him. Akaska, in all honesty, didn't care about the perpetrator at all. Just as long as he could ensure the safety of Toshiki Onugai. So if the perpetrator ran off by himself, it was perfectly acceptable. But it seemed that Toshiki Onugai was important to the man as well, and didn't elect to just run away empty-handed. Akaska didn't know what to do in this kind of situation. His first priority should have been to ensure the safety of the boy, subduing his captor being less important. Grappling the perpetrator wasn't something he planned on, but most likely it was either do or die. Akaska's moment of indecision proved to be fatal. The man, aiming right between for both of Akaska's eyes, struck out with a jab. Not wanting that, Akaska raised both his hands to his face. At that moment, the man kicked at the unguarded midsection. The pain almost felt like his vital organs were being squeezed out of his body, but latched onto his opponent's leg. But his opponent didn't hesitate one bit. Leading with his full-sized foot, the man jumped at Akaska, applying pressure and pushing him down. Akaska was unable to withstand that and fell under no circumstances. But under no circumstances was he letting that leg go. The two men fell together in a tangled heap. The man was desperate to pull his leg free from Akaska, but having fallen in an awkward position was unable to. The two of them rolled around on the ground, floundering about trying to gain an advantage. But Akaska, who was holding onto his opponent's knee with both hands, and that opponent, who had complete freedom to move his upper body, were in two completely different situations. The man gained a positional advantage on Akaska, who was still latched onto his leg and couldn't move away, and pounded with full force on his head with both fists. Not only that, he found a rock nearby and beat it against Akaska's skull. Jesus. This man doesn't care. This man's trying to kill people. The difference between hitting with a fist and a rock was vast. Akaska quickly thought of letting go of the man's leg to protect his head. But if he let go here, the man would get away. If he didn't dig in here, everything would be for naught. The boy he was trying to save was right there. He was going to save him and go back to Tokyo. If he could do that, then it was goodbye to this freakish village. Without looking, I could tell my forehead was split open and gushing blood. But I didn't let go of the man's leg. How could I? I won't let go. The man realized that no matter how much he beat my head, he wasn't getting away, and they used both his hands to grab my throat as if to crush my windpipe. I pulled my head back as a slight form of resistance, but it was no use. The man's hands enveloped my neck and began to crush it like a vice. It was less about the pain of not being able to breathe than so much as it was choking so hard that I felt like I was going to throw up. It felt like my stomach was going to turn itself inside out, that I could only endure it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. My throat hurts. I can't let go, I can't let go. I didn't want to be here. I wanted to resolve this and go back to Tokyo. Back to Tokyo. Talk to Yuki. All about our unborn child. We were going to talk about our bright future. I had no intention of loosening my grip. However, it loosened just a bit, and the man's leg came free. The man kicked as hard as possible, and I tumbled backwards. My head was spinning, and I was unable to get up right away. No. I couldn't even put any strength into getting up in the first place. Even so, I couldn't back down. If I let him escape now, this chance would never come again. Even just catching their scent was nothing short of a miracle. If we weren't able to get the minister's grandson back here, there wouldn't be another chance. The man tried to drag the boy to his feet, but the kid was displaying some unexpected resistance, allowing me to get up unnoticed. I grasped the rock the man had just beat me over the head with. Now it's my turn. The rock should be able to supplement what meager strength I had left, adding more than enough power to my attack. My fist, still wrapped around the rock, dug into the side of the man's torso. It seemed like it hurt him quite a bit. The man rolled around for a bit, clutching his side. Freed from the man's grip, the boy hid behind me. The boy, those were the words he was waiting for the most. But the crisis was still not over. That was because, though he was still clutching his side, the man had gotten up again and had taken a fighting stance. I could see it in the man's eyes, the resentment and pain that I had caused him, and the confidence that he could still beat me. If I were to clash head-on again, I might not be able to stop even if my head were split open. Or if we were to clash. Man reacted adversely to the word reinforcements. That was because he now knew that arguing like this wasn't just a waste of time, but putting him closer and closer to danger. Realizing that, the man shifted mental gears almost too quickly. What? What the man pulled from his pocket was, of all things, a gun. Of course, I'm a police officer. It's not like I don't know what a gun is. What having one pointed at me is something I'd never experienced before. Is it real? Of course it was. There was no way I'd be a replica in this situation. Although that'd be a good bluff. I have a feeling they can't kill me though. I feel like they'll get in trouble. If they kill a police, if the residents of Hinamizawa, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to avoid criminal activity. If the residents killed somebody, then it would be bad. As long as he still held that gun, no matter how much I yelled at him, I was at a distinct disadvantage. But still, I had a fighting chance. If I were in his shoes, instead of wasting time yelling at each other like this, I would just shoot him and take the boy. That was the fastest and would suppress any sort of further resistance from him. But the man was demanding my surrender without having fired a shot, meaning that he either didn't want to shoot or couldn't. In other words, the man in front of me was soft. If I could buy even just a little more time, the factors that would lead to my victory were numerous. Higurashi was probably on his way, and the reinforcements we called for before coming here should already be on their ways, too. Not only that, they should have contacted the local police. Without a doubt, somebody stationed in that village would be here. Yeah, really though?
そったれが撃たれなきゃこいつの怖さがわからねえかよ。どうせ逃げられやしない。無駄に罪を重ねるな。
At that moment, I heard the rustling of foliage and heavy footsteps approaching. That's the other guy. Higurashi was coming here was a whole new ball game. The man couldn't have more than one gun.
ここです。
I had thought that time was on my side, but I had failed to even imagine that the enemy could also have reinforcements. You could tell the man who just appeared was one of the perpetrators just by looking at him.
何しよってんの。はよせんとな。結構油売っとい。
くそ。おいさんはどうしたってんだ。
ああ。落としたったらあわん。
おいさんはくそ。
The boy, sensitive to the impending danger, curled up behind my back. How could this be? Damn
期
it.
待してた相方はさあまあね、観念するのはてめえの方だ。
As I backed up against a large tree while still protecting the boy, the second man also pulled out a gun.
2回しか言わん。頭抱えてそこにうつ伏せになる。
断る。
As I shouted in protest, blood erupted from my left shoulder. It took a few minutes to register that I had been shot. Compared to the ones from movies and TV dramas, the first actual gunshot I heard was simple and mundane. In fact, the sound was more akin to a small fireworks I used to buy from the corner store as a kid. But there was no comparing the pain. It was a fear you knew only after you'd been shot.
おじさん大丈夫大丈
The boy, in his confusion, tugged at my clothes, agitating the wound even further. I wanted to put on a bold face and reassure him, but my voice was hoarse and had the opposite effect.
大丈夫。すでに応援は要請してすぐに警官隊が駆けつけ。
警官が来る前、お前ん額にも無駄な殺傷すなっちゅう。あんまりなめとんと容赦せんとよ。
This was bad. It was very, very bad. The second man was a completely different beast than the first. He had no signs of indecisiveness or mercy. If this man said he'd shoot, he'd shoot. He wasn't somebody that a man like me could buy time from. I really hated to admit it, but at that moment, the image of Yuki's smiling face crossed the back of my mind. I knew what that meant. I was warning myself not to throw my life away over a matter of pride. Of course, I didn't want to die here. I was just starting a new life with Yuki, and I wanted to see her the face of our soon-to-be-born child. Why should I risk my life for some minister's grandson when I was at a critical juncture in my own life? Ah, damn it. I need to stop rambling at myself. So what do I do now? Give the boy up and extend my own life? What a good idea. Everybody's life is precious. My own life was in danger. Nobody would blame me. Ah, God damn it, it hurts. If I had known it would be this painful, I wouldn't have played the tough guy. My biggest miscalculation, though, was that the sound of the gunshot was far quieter than I had imagined. If it was only that loud, then it would be drowned out by the rain in the forest. It wasn't something somebody far away could hear.
くそ。待てよ。死にたくないよ。
あん、こっちだって死なせとうない。分かればええん分かれば。
撃つなよ。撃つなよ。帰りを待ってる妻がいる。死にたくないんだよ。
叫ばんとでも歌んね。おとなしゅう頭抱えてうつ伏せになったら歌んだるね。
本当だろうな。本当だろうな。約束は守れよ。絶対だ。男と男の約束だぞ。
What the fuck? This is like lesson number 1 you learn from like anything. You learn this from reading any book. Never make a deal with the villain, because they always don't abide by the rule.
守ったんだ。男と男の約束しやよ。
No, that's a terrible idea.
守れよ。じゃあうつ伏せになるからな。なるからな。約束守るんだから。銃をやっぱ撃つ気なんだろ。撃つ気なんだろ。俺がうつ伏せになったら後頭部を撃つ気なんだろ。
Yes.
歌んね歌んね。わかった。しまってる。銃はしまってる。男と男の約束
Holy shit. Did you just metagame the villain metagame? Oh no.
俺なら文句ないんて。
Oh dude, please pull out a gun right now and just be like, yeah, that's right, because now I have one.
ええ、極めて文句ないですよ。
Oh, Uishi to the rescue. Over in a flash. The moment he lowered his gun, Uishi didn't let his chance slip by. Uishi had been assessing the situation for quite some time behind the two men. But since they had their guns trained on me, he didn't really have a chance to jump in. Seeing the look on Uishi's face indicating that he wanted me to create an opening, I took that role. Oh my goodness, you're crazy. Uishi forcefully lifted the arm that was holding the gun. He then took the gun from the man's hand in only an instant. The other man, who was a bit slow in grasping what had happened, pointed the gun at them, but with his ally grappling with Uishi, he couldn't pull the trigger. If that man was the one wrestling with Uishi at the moment, he might have shot without hesitation. But this man wouldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot. Uishi kicked the other man away while aiming the stolen gun with his left hand and pulled out his own. With guns akimbo, he's aiming at both the men at the same time. It was perfectly played. But, heedless of the guns pointed at them, the men shouted, "Scram!" as they scattered away at full speed. It was over in an instant. Those two running away without putting up a fight was on... What? I guess, yeah. Uishi, quietly clicking his tongue in admonishment, slipped both guns into his pant pockets.
あいつらもよく知ってる。
何をですか？
逃げてる背中を警官は撃てませんからね。私も退職金が惜しいもんで。
Uishi and I grinned at each other.
君が犬飼検察大臣のお孫さん？
はい。
これはでかい事件になるかな。どうせトカゲの尻尾切りになるんでしょうけどね。
Uishi smiled amusedly. The fact that the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance, or rather the Sonozaki family behind them, was pulling the strings was apparent, but proving it wouldn't be easy. And with apologies to Uishi, this incident was unlikely to go public. If this caused an uproar, it would obviously lead to the minister losing his office. With HQ having decided that doing so was in the national interest, this would probably be cleaned up quietly. It might be a rough way of saying it, but this was born in the shadows and was going to die in the shadows. Uishi probably already understood the implications behind this incident.
とにかく非常線を張らせましょう。連中まだ一丁は拳銃を持ってるようですからね。それから犬飼君を保護して赤坂さんはすぐに病院に行かないと。
As the tension in the situation faded, the pain from the gunshot wound in my shoulder blossomed once again. My forehead was also stinging painfully and had grown hot enough to start a fire. Thinking that the tension had caused me to sweat, I wiped my forehead, but what came off was a large amount of blood. I realized that my shirt had been stained bright crimson from blood flowing from my head. I turned around. The boy was safe and sound, without a doubt. There would probably be an investigation on the men who ran, but that was for another day. At this point in time, I could safely say that we had cleared the major hurdle of securing the boy's safety. As soon as I recognized that, it felt like the lights in my head had been hit by a power failure. My knees buckled from underneath me, and the ground there feeling soft as a cloud. It didn't feel unpleasant even as I was covered in the rain-soaked mud. Uishi came closer asking if I was okay, but somehow I couldn't tell. I turned off the switch to the last light in my head. The exhaustion enveloped me. Sleep. Something softer than any blanket wrapped around me. The end. That was an interesting fight scene. It was very, very intense. That sounds like the end of the chapter with some tips. Let's read the tips. Oh, it's just one tip. Very kind person. I wonder... I'm not dead, because I'm mission accomplished. I got an achievement. Which means there's only so many achievements. How many achievements I have left? I'm going to check how many achievements I have left, because I'm interested now. I have 4 achievements left. So I have 1 complete in the game, one completed game, one reading all the tips, and one reading the after party. So I have one more achievement before the final end of the game. So I have like one more chapter to go, I think. Or one more, one more chapter of this to go. Let's view the tips and read them. I'll kind of explain. Well, not explain, but I think that's what I think. I don't know what's going on in this, so hold on. Patients admitted to the hospital can only accept calls at fixed times. That's why she wouldn't be receiving a call from him today. Yesterday, she had teased him not to get... okay, it's the wife. So he might have struggled with the idea of calling her sooner. That much was easier to imagine rather than that he might just be too busy to call. Because he's just that type of person. Yuki whispering that smile to herself. The announcement that visiting hours were over played over the hospital intercom along with some music. She had exchanged pleasantries with the family of the patient that had been staying in the same room as her. Probably eager for his mother to be discharged, their small child was wearing a beaming smile. That child's mother was pregnant in the bed next to mine with what may be their new brother or sister. They were probably ready to burst with expectations, dreams, and worries of having a new sibling. The joys of growing a family. Bathing in those warm feelings, I stroked my own belly, which had grown quite large. I talked with him about how many children we wanted to have. We talked about if we had 3, it would certainly be lively. However, there was an inescapable worry of whether I would be able to handle giving birth that many
でも
times.
そんなことを不安に思って出産を嫌う母なんていないですものね。
I'm going to throw this out here, and I'm going to throw it out there as like a vague prediction. Just like a vague prediction, because I feel like I don't know how shocking the game wants to get with me, but what if? What if Rika warns Akaska-kun to not go to the thing for some reason, to not go to Hinamizawa, to go back to Tokyo, because he dies here, right? Akaska-kun dies. And then what happens is they have a doppelganger dress up as Tomitaki-san and be there. And then Yuki finds out that his husband has died, goes there, and sees her husband. But then the husband doesn't recognize her, and so then she's like suspicious. And then so she gets a job at the clinic, blah, blah, blah. And then this is probably like a miscarriage or some shit. I just have a feeling, and then that's Takano-san, and then Takano-san is kind of just there, and that's why she kills Tomitaki-san that one episode. That would make a lot of sense. It would make so much sense if that was the way that it was going. Like Akaska-kun dies and they make a doppelganger who's a photographer. And then they just hang out a lot. I don't know. But then they always have Tomitaki-san die, so I don't know if it's just because, like, since the justice let him, that person was actually very rare. Because my original theory is that Akaska is Tomitaki-san, and that Takano is Yuki. I don't know, though. I don't know. He didn't talk much about the specifics, but I didn't think that he was suited for an assignment he was on right now. As long as he said he was going to try his best, I would watch over him warmly.
あなたのお父さんはね、とっても頑張り屋さんなのよ。くちょこちょこちょこちょ。
Yuki seemed to be enjoying herself as she talked to her own belly. At that moment, Yuki suddenly became concerned about something and looked out the window. It used to be this time, long ago. She remembered that when she was little, around this time in the countryside where her grandmother lived, the Higurashi would fill the air with their chorus. This was the middle of Tokyo. Unlike at the countryside, you couldn't hear the song of the Higurashi. But for some reason, that moment, Yuki felt like she wanted to hear that song. Yeah, I mean, I kind of just went over my theories. I mean, obviously, Akasuga-kun was warned not to go to Tokyo. I don't know if that's because Akasuga-kun dies here. If that's the case, then like I said before, I think that it's probably that first option that I was just saying, where Akasuga-kun dies, they make a doppelganger that's Tomitaki. Tomitaki gets like too attached to Takano-san, and then they kill him because he's too attached, and then Takano-san's like trying to investigate, and so that's why they kill her. I mean, either that or he's okay, and I don't think he dies there. I think he like goes to the hospital. I'm pretty sure Edie, the guy that we had met on the road, will look at him and probably heal Akasuga-kun. Oh, but what if he has memory loss? Oh my goodness, what if he loses it? There's so many ways they could take the story. In as far as like Akasuga-kun goes, there's so many ways they could take the story. They could be like, oh, Akasuga-kun gets hit over the head so many times and he collapses. Then when he wakes up, he doesn't have any memory of like anything. And they're like, oh, you're a photographer, and like you like to take pictures, and like that could be his new identity. And like then slowly he realizes what he is, because Takano-san, who is actually Yuki, like freaking makes him remember, and then that's why they both die. Dude, there's so many options. There's so many options that they could take this in. But I don't know. And then as far as like Keiichi goes, I don't know. There's probably something going on with Keiichi. I'm excited for the next chapter. Like every part of me wants to go to the next chapter where I play as what's her name, because I feel like the instant I start playing as what's her name, there's some stuff that they're gonna need to explain so I can fit into the shoes of this girl. You know, I need to be able to fit into the shoes of this girl. So like as soon as I start playing, it should immediately like provide something. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff, and we're gonna see what happens. In the next one. I'm a little tired though. I gotta get to work and stuff. So I'm gonna end this here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button. I really appreciate it. Also subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'm gonna try to upload 2 things tomorrow. I'm gonna try to upload another episode of this, which I will not record right now. I'm probably gonna record it tomorrow when I get home from work. But I'm gonna try to record 2 things tomorrow. Try not to let myself sleep really early like I've been doing. So yeah. Anyway, what have I said and what have I not said? Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, like, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next episode, whenever that may be. Peace out, you guys.